So we're all here? Okay. Thank you all for being here and to be able to listen to what we have to say. I hope it becomes something of interest. You all know where you are. You are in the advanced technology section. So we're supposed to be talking here with deep tech, 5G, virtual reality, augmented reality, drones, AI, machine learning, big data, and cybersecurity. But the venue is here, the playground stage, so we're going to do like a playing ground, you know, like little kids with sand. We're going to try to make a little bit of different bits of things that you can take home to think about. So our topic here is convergence of disciplines with artificial intelligence. So time restrictions makes this a flash, speed, flavoring on the topic of a micro-pill type of panel content, because there isn't anything else we can do in 30 minutes, but we'll try. And the idea is to motivate you and trigger curiosity and future need to learn a little bit more and participate in the future of innovative interdisciplinary technologies building blocks. So artificial intelligence, we don't really know what it is, not even the natural one, so less the artificial one, but you know, the definition that at the moment of creating the words McCarthy gave was that it was something that was able to create a machine that was intelligent, or a computation or a program that shows some intelligence. So leaving it at that in 1956, there are three fundamental blocks in AI. I'm going to introduce them so that you know which context we're going to be working in, and it's going to be the last one. The first block is the super intelligence, so super artificial intelligence, which means some intelligence that is going to override all of us, even the most intelligent of us in mankind. And that is quite far away from attaining yet. And that moment is called the singularity. It's a word that was invented by von Neumann. And, but in any case, we don't have to, you know, have any fatalist or apocalyptic, you know, positions as you have been seeing in the latest years, because this can only go for better world and not for a worse world if we take care of it. Okay. And the second big block of the artificial intelligence today is what we call the, how would I say it? It's general AI. I don't like to call it, sometimes people call it strong AI, which is a part of artificial intelligence that really is able to do general problem solving, like us. So it equals human beings, general problem solving, okay? That is also very far away from being a reality. It is a matter of research. It is a matter of fundamental research, and we are getting near there. But what brings the hype today, what we all understand as artificial intelligence, is the third block, which is what we call narrow or weak AI, which means solving problems of a particular context. In a particular narrow area, we formulate a problem and we can solve it. And most of the time, when we solve it further away of how we humans would have been able to solve it. So much, much better. And machine learning plays a very central role in that. So having said all of this, we have been extracting some knowledge along these years. This is the most known one, the narrow intelligence, of the narrow artificial intelligence, and so we're going to be concentrating in that. We have experts on some of the disciplines that have gained entity and are in the frontier and intersecting and converging with artificial intelligence. So I'm going to allow myself just one line to introduce them, and then they will take their time to introduce them, highlighting at will whatever they like, okay? So it doesn't have to be in the context of this conference. So I give them that benefit, but they only have a half a minute, okay? So let's go. We have Antonio here on my left, and Sin. He's a PhD in theoretical physics. He works at ICREA as a professor of the Institute of Photonic Science, head of the Quantum Information Theory Group, and he's an expert in quantum computing. We will explain the convergence in some issues with AI. Then we have Gloria Lorenzo, who is a computer scientist, senior director of the language solutions of Oracle, and she is going to be talking about that area of language processing that is her expertise. Then we have Jordi Nadal, who is a PhD in particle physics, expert in machine learning and artificial intelligence in general, works at my company at Aplicaciones en Informática Avanzada. So Jordi is going to be talking about the machine learning essence. And Luis Carbajo is an MBA from Michigan. He's a master in industrial engineering. He's a digital strategist, veteran launching digital technologies. And he was the first Spanish executive working at Amazon in the USA. So he's now a CEO of Votum, who is a blockchain, which is a traceability platform for a lot of things that he will be explaining, and what is the frontier and the interest of AI. And last but not least, we have Sara Colnago, who has been kind enough to come from the very, 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 very busy Milano, okay? And she has, Swascam is a company which is specialized in cybersecurity. She's the co-founder and CEO, and she will be talking to us about this convergence. She has been named by Forbes the top 100 tech influencer women in the world. So I think we have a very interesting panel. So please, each one of you, introduce yourself in half a minute, and we start with the questions.
Should I start?
You start.
OK, so well, as was mentioned, my name is Antonio Zin, and I'm leading a research group at ICFO, an institute that is located near Barcelona in Castelldefels. And I'm leading the group on quantum information theory. So basically, the main objective of the group is to understand what happens when you put information on quantum particles, and which new things you can do when this new type of information. I think that's enough for my side for the moment.
OK.
Hi, Gloria Lorenzo. I'm a computer science who loves languages, so I end up working in globalization and translation of software applications. And I'm leading a project of research for neural-machine translations for more than 44 languages.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jordi Nadal. As Regina said, I'm a PhD in particle physics that I did at CERN. Then I moved to Germany to work on grid computing. And 5 years, more or less, I came back to work at AIA, which I'm responsible for the innovation department.
So I am Luis Carbajo. As Regina mentioned, I have been in digital technology for quite a while. I found a company 2 years ago that is Votum. It's a blockchain company. We do traceability of data in different blockchains, public and private. And we see artificial intelligence as an added value that we can put into the data. Blockchain is just a foundational technology. So it's going to allow a lot of new business models to evolve. And part of how these business models are going to evolve is with the combination of other technologies, like in this case, artificial intelligence, that we are already using in one of our solutions.
Buenos dias. I'm Sara Colnago, and I'm the co-founder of Swascam, a cybersecurity testing platform that allows you to identify, analyze, and solve vulnerabilities. We also have in our company a cybersecurity research team that is quite busy at the moment dealing with this kind of convergence of technologies and artificial intelligence.
OK, so having the introduction of these experts done by themselves, let's start with the questions. I have prepared a question for each one of them regarding their expertise. Then, if we have time, we will go to open discussion between experts. If we don't have time, we want the 5 last minutes to be open to the audience, OK? So at least we know we will have to stop 5 minutes before this clock that is just telling me the time tells that it's 5 minutes left. So Gloria, I will start with you. We have seen great potential of convergence of language processing and artificial intelligence today. Can you tell us, as a practicing expert, the main issues that artificial intelligence, and especially machine intelligence and machine learning, can help in language processing today in different contexts?
OK, so I can see 4 areas. The first one is on speech recognition, because machine learning really destroys the lexical diversity. It's biased towards the most commonly used terms, and it's also trained using the most commonly used languages. In the case of English, it's US English. In the case of Portuguese, it will be Brazilian. The second area will be around conversational AI, and that's when you're trying to understand complex sentences. We're doing a lot of work on sentiment analysis, positioning, but it's also really interesting to keep the semantic history. What was said in the previous sentences, for example, if a customer is getting angry and at what point you notice that, And things like the epistemology, that's, for example, if you have a sentence, you're able to identify a noun, but if the noun is Hitler or Holocaust, it might be a little bit problematic, so getting all of that extra information. The third one is around the natural language generation, is the ability of a computer to produce a concept and explain what language, what tone, what lexicon is going to use. For example, if it's going to say a joke, is it appropriate or not? And finally, there's a lot of investigation and convergence around the language variances in a multimodal view. That's where things like machine translation, video, speech, voice, even sign language recognition converges.
Okay, thank you, Gloria, and we thank her for also keeping the time. They only have 1.5 minutes to explain their answers. So I'm going now to Antonio. Okay, Antonio, we see a lot of early interdisciplinary interaction on cryptography and quantum computing and the quantum key distribution on networks as an example of interdisciplinary work. But can you explain and add here on the convergence that is now starting with machine learning and artificial intelligence?
Well, this is starting in the last year, so I would say it's between, well, actually it's mostly a research topic at the moment, but it's soon, I hope, moving to applications. This is why I'm a scientist here, perhaps the more scientific person in the panel. And basically, what we want to understand is like, if you think about a quantum computer, this is a device that works with quantum bits, and quantum bits are bits that can be 0, 1, or superposition of 0 and 1. Usually when I say that, people look at me as if I was crazy, but this is how nature works in the quantum world. So once you have these quantum bits, you have a machine that operates with quantum bits, and this machine can do things that our machines cannot do. And therefore, the main question now for this convergence is to understand how such a machine can learn, how it learns different from our machines we have, and how it can help to solve problems that we have, that our machines have to learn on problems. And also a new thing that is happening is like also you have new problems, which are how this quantum machine can learn about problems related to quantum information. Okay, so we have to solve all these challenges, and people are working in this direction, the problem being that we don't have a proper quantum computer yet.
But we will.
Yes.
We just had last week one big jump on Google machine that really is solving in minutes something that it would have taken thousands of years. So that's progress.
Well, yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. But they're very specific, I understand. Okay, Sarah. With all the noise that the press is doing, can you clarify for a wide audience the places where convergence with AI is being central for solving the problems your clients in the industry have with cybersecurity and the ones that are most widely present, like criminal hackers or all others? So tell us in the audience, how is artificial intelligence helping in your business solving these very hard problems?
Okay, so let's try to make this thing clear. And first of all, we need to face the reality that artificial intelligence is an opportunity both for companies and for cybercrime. We already know examples of phishing attacks powered by artificial intelligence that are constructed on the knowledge base related to the behavioral of the target that they have in their focus. And we also know about malware related to conf call systems that we use every day that are activated by facial recognition. I see you, I recognize you, and I attack you. This is the scenario. And in this huge field of issues, what we can do with artificial intelligence into the side of the company is that we need to improve a constant risk assessment and risk analysis to keep every day updated to this kind of technology. And also, we really need to put in place a framework of cybersecurity that considers artificial intelligence, both from the inside and from the outside.
Okay, Sarah, thank you very much. So take notice. Artificial intelligence can be both-sided. It can help being the good guy, and it can help being the bad one, because we can generate automatic malware with artificial intelligence. So there is a need of supervision, a need of monitoring, a need of ethical handling of what we do with artificial intelligence. Not only the bias that Gloria was talking, but many others that are coming and being rooting up the words towards the work we do. And I think that it's a good moment to ask Luis, because blockchain is building trust. So in all of this paraphernalia of risk and risk assessment, at least we see a little bit of light with blockchain, with some creation of trust, through this capacity that blockchain allows us. So, Luis, can you tell us, outside of the hype of the community buying Bitcoins, we like the use of blockchain in a different manner. So can you explain to us this other way that blockchain is useful as a methodology, and AI, how it interacts?
All right. So what Bitcoin this is how everything started around blockchain, right? What Bitcoin basically showed to the world is that you can transmit value through the digital world, not just information, but also value. And that value can also be not just cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, but data. And that data, basically, because you are keeping that in the blockchain, you can trust it. You have different ways to specifically verify that that data that you are keeping in the blockchain is data that you can trust. And that is the important piece of that technology that Bitcoin showed to the world, that you can robust a lot of processes that in the digital world you can't. Everything that happened with internet is also an IT protocol, right? But it wasn't built thinking about security. It wasn't built about thinking that the data that you will be putting there, you need to be able to use it in a very different ways that could be for good or for bad. Blockchain has been built to just be sure that the data you are keeping there is secure and you can trust it, because you have a mechanism to basically verify that the data that you have put in the blockchain can be trusted. So from that point of view, as artificial intelligence is built or is using data to interact, to learn, to basically operate, that is a great way, or what we think is going to be the convergence between blockchain and artificial intelligence. When we think about cars, right, autonomous cars, you need somewhere to put some data that will not be hackable, or that will allow these devices to talk to each other. That is what this kind of foundational technology like blockchain came through, where you can put this data, so all these machines that they need to be using it for their own operating systems, they can trust. So basically, this is how that is going to work in the future.
Okay, thank you, Luis. I hope that all of this has opened a little bit some space for thought. And before we go for questions of the audience, because we won't have the time for an open emerging discussion between the experts, that we can do outside with any one of you, I would like Jordi to close this round of questions to tell us, as having experience of working with large and small companies on the understanding of their teams, of this convergence between artificial intelligence and machine learning with other disciplines. So what have you learned? What do they really grasp? How do they really understand? So can you share this with us? Thank you.
Sure. So we have the privilege of having work still with companies that are early adopters of these technologies, and they are already having these palpable benefits of being in this digital transformation. So without any doubt, machine learning is eating this business decision-making world. So, and not only in companies that are data-centric, but also in other sectors, sorry, like industrial processes in manufacturing or human resources. So concerning these different disciplines, for example, in the IoT, we see that there are low hanging...
Internet of Things, IoT.
Yeah, sorry. So low hanging fruits, waiting from processes to be sensorized. So once this is done, I see applications, use cases like predictive maintenance based on digital twins, which are almost deep learning, and also applications using blockchain and smart contracts for the optimization of supply chain. In terms of cybersecurity, for example, I think we are already there. There are a lot of applications of deep neural networks applied for network traffic anomaly detection. Embedding techniques have been used for characterization of attacks using the logs of infected computers. What I think is there are also sectors like marketing or customer service that are looking forward this merge with language processing, also in the cognitive, especially in the cognitive part, I would say. And finally, just said something about quantum computing. What I see is the far away to see the practical applications, but once would be there, I see a huge impact, and of course, will accelerate the machine learning. But to my knowledge, I think that it's the other way around now, that they are using machine learning for stabilizing processes, so it's also a round trip there.
Okay, so I think that we have reached the end, and we don't have the time for a second round of the pre-emerging discussion, because we only have, according to the clock, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So please, we would like to welcome questions from the audience.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, yeah, hi. Well, thank you very much. It's been very useful. Just a quick question. It's very clear that big battle is going on around the world between two superpowers, China and the United States, with respect to these technologies. Big bets in two big things, in terms of people and resources, quantum, and the other one is AI. $24 billion being invested a year by China on ensuring there's superiority over time. Any insights with respect to how this is going to evolve eventually and how that's going to be tackled to ensure that there's not just ownership by two countries in the world around these key technologies?
Anyone want to answer? I'll take the question. It is a very good question. I mean, there are very good books in the recent literature, and I think that Mr. Fu Li has a wonderful book about the... Kai Fu Li has a wonderful book about these two superpowers, China and the US. I think that what timidly Europe has set for a budget for artificial intelligence for the European community is peanuts.
1 billion?
Yeah. So I don't foresee, but China being the lead, as long as I can, maybe predict with all my errors in mind. I think that we can try to position ourselves in lateral domains so that, because China is very good now in verticalizing all the way into the commercial, all the way down, verticalizing certain specific competencies that are very special, okay, that is our niche, and for which Europe could be positioned well, because we have a very well-trained research machinery and a very well-trained university machinery. But we have to enter diversity there. We have to improve the proposition of women working in those fields also, because there's a lot to contribute by women on those fields at the same time, not only being Latvia and the 3 or 4 countries where women overcome numbers in science above men. So I think that being open to gender diversity into the creativity that can bring into the artificial intelligence new ways of thinking, new ways of doing things, and being there. We have to be there, even with a low budget. But I don't see how we can overcome China in the century to come, unfortunately. Okay.
So if I can say something, for the quantum computer, for instance, I think we lost the race, or we are going to lose it, okay? Because we don't have the capabilities in Europe to compete against companies like Google or Microsoft that are making huge investments. But I think there are other opportunities, like now, if you think about standard computers, software is at least as important as hardware. And let's say software for quantum computers, this is cheap. You only need creativity, as you said. So I think Europe can try to be leading in this sense, like having good programs that you will have to run on the quantum computers made by others, of course, But I think there are also opportunities in this direction.
I was going to say, as well as that, is the data, because the data that you're using can bias the output of the artificial intelligence. So that's what I thought it was really interesting, what you said about diversity. That's something that can come from Europe, but maybe not that much from places like China. So I think that's where we can play a very important role.
It's a good point.
And just to underline the point, on the side of cybersecurity, I think that creativity is really the key word, because, is creativity on the way that you can use to attack, and it is creativity on the way that you can use to defense. So I think that in this piece of technology where we can really do the difference, and we can also do the difference as women with our creativity into this kind of industry and thinking in a different way.
Any more questions? So let's give a big applause to these experts, and thank you for your attention.